All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rachaha Kudash. Double honors to the head apostles, now there's a great millstone who rule well and teach well. This is the brother Mattathiah from the GMS Virginia camp coming to you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. Yahweh being a true, holy, and powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Yahushai being a true, holy, and powerful name of his only begotten Son, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus in Christ. Bahashim is in the name, and Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson / information. It's going to be news and various topics. And the first topic I want to touch upon is this news article concerning this individual that you see on the screen, serial butt sniffer thrown in jail. I'm not making this up. Serial butt sniffer thrown in jail. Now I want to play some of this video clip of this individual walking around various different areas sniffing butts, which, he was caught once again, because this is not the first time he was caught, and he also is a registered offender. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch a portion of this video.
A registered sex offender goes viral when he's caught in the act sniffing a woman from behind.
But I definitely didn't expect him to do this. Like, what the actual
But officials say years after that incident, he's back at it again.
This is Inside the Crime.
So he was caught again. he was released, sent back into the streets, and he said, I didn't learn from my time in jail and prison, whatever the case may be, the fines I had to pay. I'm back at it again. Let's skip up in this video a little bit.
I couldn't tell if I was being paranoid or if he was just reading a book and he just happened to be in that little corner. Anyways, it felt like anywhere I moved, he kept following me. So I recorded just in case he was trying to say anything or do anything to me. But I definitely didn't expect him to do this. Like, what the actual and the whole time I'm thinking I'm fine because he hasn't said anything or touched me or anything. But then you notice that he goes over and does the same thing to this girl. And he'll crouch down low and pretend like he's doing something and then smell? I don't know. And the whole time I'm wondering why he's always around me. But this was our interaction.
What are you doing?
I was so freaked out when I turned around
Yo.
and saw him literally
Hey, and
he's doing something.
and this is a product of Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great breeds individuals like this. These weird fetishes and these various different things, laws, etc., set up in this place. So individuals like this are protected and don't have fear on acting on certain things in public and in private, right?
And you notice that he goes over and does the same thing to this girl. And he'll crouch down low and pretend like he's doing something and then smell? I don't know. And the whole time I'm wondering why he's always around me. But this was our interaction.
What are you doing?
I was...
And how you get arrested for butt sniffing is beyond me. Okay, I don't know what type of charge that is, and how you're brought to court, nor do I understand the punishment and the law of justice that can be implemented on this man. But nevertheless, weird as hell. All right, now let's move on to the next topic. The next video I want to touch on is this video from this local news channel entitled Miami-Dade Barber Says Customer Assaulted Him with a Gun After a Dispute Over a Haircut. Okay, I'm going to play this video as well, and it looks like the individual got his hairline pushed back a little bit too far and pulled out a gun on this particular barber.
Quickly turned violent when a longtime customer pulled a gun out on his barber. This video shows how everything just escalated so fast as children there were watching in fear.
Tonight, Local 10 is hearing from that barber. We have Magdala Luisan. She joins us live from West Miami-Dade with this one and only Local 10 exclusive.
Sanella, JC, Samuel Wilson has been a barber for over 30 years, and he says what happened in his shop this week, he has never experienced anything like this before. A customer pulls a gun on him and pistol whips him.
I hate that this even happened.
Tuesday was supposed to be just another day for barbershop owner Samuel Wilson, but this video shows how a routine haircut turned into a terrifying, violent encounter. We've removed some audio because of strong language. It started as a verbal dispute, a customer unhappy about his hairline. But moments later, he returns.
Yeah, the barber pushed his hairline back, a couple centimeters, couple inches. When you start seeing that, you start seeing that white, right, where the darkness of the skin fades out. And moreover, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans aren't supposed to be getting edge ups anyhow. All right, that's against the law, which we'll get that in a moment. Right, let's continue on.
This time holding a gun, threatening Wilson as two children watch and another customer tries to calm him down.
He wasn't a man till he had that pistol in his hand. Slapped me in the head with it, choked me out. You got it.
Wilson says he wasn't a random walk-in. He's cut the man's hair many times.
Yeah, see, at this point, this is when he noticed that, okay, yeah, I'm not cool with this. This was the beginning of the escalation of the situation, right? And this individual right here, the barber's trying to explain to him, like, nah, it ain't pushed back, That shit look good, right? And the individual sitting in the seat, that he wasn't having it.
Them walk-in. He's cut the man's hair many times before.
He had a county uniform on. I did not think he was going to come around here back with a firearm. I told him, man, have a good day.
You have a good day. And you have a good day, bro.
Despite the attack, Wilson says he's not going anywhere. He opened his shop in Perrine 5 years ago and loves the community.
This is probably not the first time this has happened. He probably had a conversation with his barber about this exact particular thing concerning his hairline, whatever the case may be, and then it happened again. And as you see, he just wasn't having it.
That supported him.
This is a safe place for anybody, but I hope the best for you, homie. Have a good day and have a good life.
Yeah, you see, and people on edge. All right, people are on edge. They're ready to crash out. And something simple as a haircut, a conversation, driving your car, switching lanes, right? Something simple as that can escalate until to someone losing their life. Now, no one lost their life in this particular incident, but it very well could have gone a lot further than this. Okay, people have lost their lives from altercations and situations far less than this. Now let's go to Leviticus 19 real quick, because you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you biblical Israelites, are not supposed to be getting edge ups. You're not supposed to be getting tattoos. You're not supposed to be lining up your beard. You're not supposed to be lining up the edges of your head, right? Whether in the front, the back, the side, your sideburns. You're not supposed to be doing that. Okay, this is Leviticus 19:27. It says, "You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard." So you ain't supposed to be getting an edge up on your hairline or your beard line. And some of these other camps, they don't teach that. These other camps, they get edge ups. They line up the front, the side, the rear of their hairline. They edge up their beard. IUIC in particular, you see a lot of their members and the leaders of that particular camp getting edge ups, lining up their beard, lining up their hair. having long dreadlocks and long hair. But they'll in the same breath tell you what? To keep the laws, to keep the commandments. But here it is, they're willingly and willfully breaking those commandments. The commandments that you can keep, they're breaking. It says, ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the quarters of thy beard. Let's read that in the NLT. It says, do not trim off the hair on your temples or trim your beards. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24 and verse 12. And it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And this is what you see really all over the earth. The love of many waxing colder and colder and colder as the days go on. People are on edge. People are tense. People are crashing out. People are ready to crash out from the various different things that they're dealing with in their day-to-day lives, right? Concerning their jobs, concerning their situations at their households. The low employment rate, people losing their jobs, right? The low pay that they're receiving at their jobs, the various different bills and things that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. People are on edge, and this is various different things happening, especially over here and primarily over here in Babylon the Great has developed this crash out culture where people are just losing it. And this is only going to escalate. This is only going to continue because all these various different things that people are complaining with and having to deal with, and even us that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, is just going to get worse. Babylon the Great, America, is not going to be restored. It's not going to be healed. It's only going to get worse. And we're warning you, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, to set your mind aright, repent to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and do a complete change of direction in your life. But the majority of our people are not taking heed to the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai that are being spoken by his men, the prophets, all over the four corners of the earth. Let's read Matthew 24 and 12 in the NLT. It says, sin will be rampant everywhere. And what you see on the screen, yes, that is a sin, which we read in Leviticus, the 19th chapter. That's a violation of the law. To get an edge up, to mar off, to round off, to strike off. When you go into that word, it means strike off, to destroy your hairline or your beard line. It says sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many shall grow cold. Now let's go to Proverbs chapter 29, and let's start from the top. It says, he that being often reproved, and we're constantly doing videos on these other camps where they're going off at, their false teachings, their false doctrine. And in this particular instance and topic concerning edge ups, right? Lineups that's going off, and we rebuke them. You can go on various different of these other camps, IUIC, Genesis, Sakari, right? They got fresh, clean, crispy, clean lineups, man. That's a violation of the law, and they get mad at us because we do videos on them, because we rebuke them. That's what we're supposed to do, right? It says, he that being often reproved, and they're often reproved. They're often being told that that's wrong, that you're going off. Videos are constantly being done on these individuals. It says, he that being often reproved hardeneth his neck, and that's what's happened. They have hardened their neck. It says, shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. Next video topic I want to touch on is the Federal Immigration operation now in the New Orleans area. And you see that this is spreading like wildfire. And we told you this was going to happen. This is how Esau Edom operates in his government and his, policies and his laws and his declarations over here in Babylon the Great America, right? It happens in one state, it moves to other states, and then quickly more and more states start adopting these laws, and you see these laws and these various different orders being ordered, okay, all over Babylon the Great. And this is only going to increase. And what you're witnessing is the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. We've been telling you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the majority of our people have not been taking heed. It says federal immigration operation targets New Orleans area, and you Jakes are the target. You are being portrayed all over the earth as the problem of the earth. Meanwhile, Esau sits in the background seeking to hide himself when he's ultimately the problem of the earth, right? Let's go ahead and play a little bit of this.
Mayor-elect Helena Moreno launches a website meant to advise community members in the face of a federal immigration enforcement operation. Good evening, I'm John Snell. Associated Press sources and McGarry. Associated Press sources say federal agents border plan to begin staging in war today for Operation Swamp Sweep.
As Gabby Killett reports, leaders across the area differ on the deployment of 250 agents expected to start operations in the coming weeks.
I think it's a good thing.
This is Greater New Orleans. As Associated Press sources say, federal agents will descend on the city in coming weeks for a 2-month immigration crackdown that aims to arrest about 5,000 people across southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi.
We're here to support their mission if they need any kind of assistance.
Yeah, and who do you think those people are? Those people are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He ain't going to the so-called Chinese communities. He's not going into the so-called white communities, He's not going to the so-called Arab communities, right? He's going primarily to the communities where you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans dwell. All right?
We have relationships with all our federal partners, HSI, ICE, Border Patrol, up to different task forces.
Coming to our city, federal agents, uninvited, unneeded, to terrorize community members, the same community members who were the workforce that saved New Orleans after Katrina.
The city of New Orleans says residents shouldn't be concerned.
I don't think it'd be.
Yeah. Residents shouldn't be concerned. Right. All you gotta do is do your own research on the various different raids, the immigration task force that are being deployed in these various different cities and areas in America, and what's happening. People are being detained that have credentials, that have paperwork. People are thrown in unmarked vehicles, taken off site to these, various different concentration camps, Alcatraz, etc. And there's even reports of, Esau rounding up these individuals, throwing them on a, military plane and dropping them shackled over the ocean. Bodies are washing up in various different areas, shackled, right? And also there's reports of grape, etc. And people just disappearing, man. And under the umbrella of this, Esau is able to further his wickedness. Okay, and we don't have to go in too depth into that.
Fearful unless you have something to be fearful about. They have the databases. ICE, Border Patrol, these federal agencies have the databases. They have the ability to determine a person's status, not the local police departments. We don't have those resources.
Meanwhile, New Orleans.
Yeah, and Donald Trump has already declared so-called Haitians. He's revoked. I forgot what he has revoked. Matter of fact, let's see if I can look that up real quick. Yeah, here it is. And I may even play this video clip next. It says, and this is from CBS News. It says Trump administration ends temporary protective status for Haitians, putting 300,000 at risk of deportation. Okay? They're coming after the tribes. They're coming after you Israelites, northern and southern kingdom. Matter of fact, real quick, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Because you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans were warned. A lot of you scoffed, you mocked, and even, you know, the leaders of you other Israelite camps, you said there wasn't going to be no Jacob's trouble, right? You said it was just going to be just smooth sailing straight into the kingdom, that there was not going to be no great time of trouble for the 12 tribes of Israel. This is Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for the day is great, that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So you're witness the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. And who's going to be saved out of Jacob's trouble? The elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? Let's go over to Revelation chapter 12. And let's go down to verse 10. It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of Yahweh and the power of his Mashiach, Yahushua Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them. All right. Who's the accuser of our brethren? Esau, Edom. It says, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them. Who is the them? The Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, before our power Yahweh, day and night. You're being portrayed as the problem of the earth. And Esau, Edom, has heavily influenced you Israelites to do wickedness, to go against the law, statutes, and commandments, to go against Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You know, let's get that scripture real quick. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 15. It says, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And this is what Esau, Edom, is doing. He has heavily influenced you Israelites to do things that are not good for your health, to do things that are not good for your spirit, your mind, to do things that are ultimately against Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. He's heavily influenced the crime, right? The drug culture, black culture, all these things that are detrimental to our people, even the hatred that is among the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He heavily influences all these things. He set up these gangs. He set up these drugs. All right. He gave you hip hop, rap music. He taught you how to sell crack, right? He taught you how to distribute these various different things amongst your own people.
Orleans Mayor-elect Helena Moreno launched a website for the city's immigrant communities, encouraging people to know their rights. Sue Weischer advocated for immigrants in her role as a policy and research fellow at the Jesuit Social Research Institute for many years. She praises Moreno and points to reports of ICE agents allegedly assaulting people.
I'm just so delighted and if I can say proud that we have elected a mayor who sees this for what it is, a real test of our democracy and the decency of the American people.
If anybody feels that's in play, if that happens, they should reach out to the FBI, local law enforcement. We're all in internal affairs departments.
On Friday, ICE responded to concerns that it may conduct sweeps at schools, saying claims of, quote, ICE at schools is misinformation and that it could otherwise be near schools during.
Yeah, they going through everywhere. The local ice cream shop, you know, the gas station, your local school, your child daycare, right? Your food line, your Kroger. You damn sure know they're going through the Mexican restaurants, right? Those Latino markets, and people are scared to go to work. You know, well, I should say Jake is scared to go to work. Jake is scared to show his face in public, even with credentials, an ID, a birth certificate, being born over here in America, etc. People are in fear because of the word of mouth, and also the information that's coming out about these ICE raids, right? That it's not going according to what they're saying in the news, in the media. There's a lot of underlying things that are not being spoken about. Before I play this next video news report, I'm going to go to Romans chapter 13 and 11, and I want to read this. Matter of fact, I'll read it in the KJV, then I'll read it in NLT. This is Romans 13 and 11. It says that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. It's high time to awake out of sleep. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has the ones that are prescribing, listening to this wisdom, knowledge, and truth, doing to the best of their abilities what's pleasing in his eyes, okay, and the understanding of what time that they're living in. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians real quick, because the majority of our people don't understand the times that they're living in, nor coming into, okay? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and of the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Okay, so we understand through the Spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai the times that we're living in the end times, that soon all hell is going to break loose. Catastrophe, calamities, pestilence. Revelation 12 and 12. Esau, Edom coming down hard on you with great wrath, because he knoweth he hath but a short time. When you're seeing the beginning stages of it, and it's only going to escalate. Esau is only going forward. He's not going backwards. He has check boxes he's seeking to check off. He has agendas he wants fulfilled. He's pursuing his new world order, and along the road of new world order and pursuing that is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans being locked up, thrown in various different concentration camps, being taken out of your communities, demonized on a high level, right? And then put to death. Verse 3, it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, and then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Okay, let's play this next. I want to play this next video news report entitled Black Women Are Struggling to Survive Through a Growing Job Crisis. The Black woman's in trouble, right?
The November jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics released this week showing some staggering numbers in unemployment. The latest data finds that despite a job opportunity increase, nearly 700,000 women still missing from the workforce, outpacing the broader workforce, and sounded alarm for the U.S. labor market.
Coincidentally, the last day of my parental leave was also the last day of my employment, which was yesterday. While I could say a lot, since February of this year, over 300,000 Black women have been pushed out of the workforce, and that is across corporate, federal, and nonprofit sectors. Men, on the other hand, have gained 600,000 jobs.
Oh, I was laid off today after 24 years. So that happened.
And these women just thought it was just going to continue, right? They thought the vengeance was just going to continue. They were going to keep getting these jobs. And really, Esau Edom has forced these jobs over here in Babylon the Great. Set up these jobs just for you women to get them, okay? And you women have put your faith and trust in this system and Esau Edom, talking about you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American women, and you thought this was going to continue. You were going to be able to be, that this was going to be efficient and suffice for you, right? You were going to be able to keep paying your rent. You were going to keep having these various different jobs, office jobs, etc. And you really thought that you were needed in the workforce. You women weren't needed in the workforce, okay? This is all come about with this whole feminist movement, right? Equality, etc., which a lot came with that. And these women are ignorant to the fact of what has really has really happened, okay? And the agenda behind all this, right? And you have women coming to the realization that they've been tricked, they've been bamboozled. And yes, you need a man, especially in the times that we're entering into. Moreover, a man who Yahweh Shem Yahushai is dealing with, because it's going to get very, very rough out here. And hey, man, Isaiah 4:1 is at the door. Soon these women are going to be jobless on a very, very high level. And it's going to go back to a survival of the fittest type mentality out here. Okay? And people and these women are going to come to the realization that, hey, I need a man. And all these years, in America and various different parts of the earth, I was just, wasting my time, putting my hopes and dreams that were never going to come true.
I got laid off from Amazon 2 weeks ago today. I received an email that your role has been eliminated.
Yeah, you're no longer needed, right? And when a hairstyle, lack of, whatever you want to call that bald ass head, we don't want you working here anyway, right? And then, hey, over here in America, primarily the so-called nigger woman will shave all her hair off and think it's cool, think it's cute. You're supposed to accept her as she is. Amazon layoff. You're being replaced by a robot. Your services are no longer needed. Please pick up your things, clean out your desk, your office, get your last check, and get out of here, right? And people are being replaced all across the board. You're no longer needed. We got artificial intelligence. We got AI to stand on there on the line and package things, to put them in a bag. We got artificial intelligence, AI. We got robotics to drive that truck. We got robotics and robots to pick up and drop off deliveries. We have AI to answer those phones. These women thought they were really needed in the workforce, that they were important, that they had some type of skill and some type of knowledge that was needed in America, that were needed in these various jobs. No, that was not the case. That was never the case. And this is what you women fought so hard for, to be equal, for equality, to be able to sit in the same office, the same building, and receive the same pay as a man. You've climbed that hill, that mountain with Esau Edom, right? Pulling you and pushing you up there, setting you up in that position. Well, guess what? You've reached your height. Now you got to come down that mountain. This is Isaiah 32:9. It says, "Rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless woman." And these women are very, very careless, man. They have no care in the world. And they think that they're entitled. The sense of entitlement is at an all-time high, especially over here in Babylon the Great, dealing with these women.
It was honestly just like the biggest shock and biggest wake-up call for myself.
I got laid off my corporate job. Yep. I've been working 3 years.
Women who are just missing, fired or pushed out, right? Is that what you would say?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we've seen. So when we look at since the pandemic, 700,000 women overall are missing from the labor force. And in that same time frame, over 6 million women have actually become eligible to participate in the labor force. So reasonably, you would think that their labor force participation should increase, but that's not what we're seeing. Just since February, almost 100,000 men joined. You're talking about structural exclusion.
So why are Black women, you think, being affected at this level? And do you think that it seems that they're being specifically targeted?
They are being targeted, and they should be targeted, because y'all, the so-called Black woman has the worst attitude, okay? Out of all the women on the earth, the worst attitude. Not every so-called Black woman, but the majority of them. Okay, they have this bold persona, very masculine, which they learn from their mothers, right? Let's get that real quick. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 22. You know, you go into these restaurants, you go into these stores, and if the nigga woman's there, she already got an attitude before you even say anything. She got an attitude, she ain't even seen you yet, right? You know, you come in there polite, trying to use services or buy a product from a particular company that she's working for, and she, you know, groaning, slapping her lips, taking her time, not doing her job correctly, complaining, right? If I go into a particular place and I see the nigga woman on one side and one as a cashier or whatever the case may be, and I see another nation on the other side, I'm going left, all right? I avoid the so-called black woman at all costs. This is Sirach chapter 22 and 5. It says, she that is bold dishonors both her father and her husband. And the so-called black woman wears that bold, masculine, loud, stubborn attitude as a badge of honor on her chest, right? She's proud of it. She's yeah, I'm bold. Yeah, I can fight. Yeah, I'm big. I'm strong. I'm overweight. I'm morbidly obese. You can't handle a strong black woman, right? It says, she that is bold dishonors both her father and her husband, but they both shall despise her.
Today I woke up and well, went to work, and I've been working from home. I've had a lot of job cuts. I've been blessed enough to make it a lot of years, performance and things of that nature. Or just, yeah, they've chosen to keep me or keep my team or whatever the case may be. But this time around, me and my department, like with I have been getting,
and some of these companies are going under, but the majority of them aren't. The major companies aren't going under as of yet. Okay, you're just being replaced. They're going the more efficient way. All right, they're going the artificial intelligence, robotics, automated, digital way, where you're no longer needed. They don't need these bodies in the magnitude as they did in times past. They have technology, they have robots that do your job more efficient than you, and they don't have to deal with attitude, right? They don't have to deal with workplace fights, workplace complaints, you know, and all these various other things that you have to deal with at the job sites. Okay. Let's go to Isaiah, what is it, chapter 3? Bear with me one moment. This is Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go and making a tinkling with their feet. You know, the pride of these women. You know, they have their head in the clouds. They think their shit don't stink. They think they're entitled to various different things, right? It says, therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. So the Lord has, put a curse upon our woman, primarily the so-called black woman, to where she can't grow her hair. You know, the Israelite man can grow his hair longer than, or I should say the so-called black man can grow his hair longer than the so-called black woman. And they resort to putting fake hair and horse hair on their head, you know, which that's a whole nother topic. Verse 18, in that day the Lord will take away their bravery and of their tinkling. So let me read that again, Salakia. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and their round tires like the moon. So the Lord hey, he's taken away these things that were given to these women. You know, the scriptures say the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. And you've reached the height. Now it's time for the decline. Now it's time for the fall. Okay. It says the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets, right? All these various different things that these women have and need, okay, and have become accustomed to. It says the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, right? This woman right here has got one of those septum rings in her ear, right? Nose jewels. Yeah, you see a woman with one of these, especially the so-called black woman, run. It says the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crispin pins, the glasses, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, right? These women don't take care of themselves. They don't have good hygiene, especially the so-called black woman, right? It says instead of a girdle, a rent. Yeah, they're all out of shape, and they want you to accept them the way they are. It says instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness. I guarantee you, this woman under that little wrap she has is baldness. Or if it's not baldness, you know, she got a weave, and then under that weave is baldness, right? It says, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Let's get one more scripture and we'll close out. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3. I'm going to start in 11. I'm going to read down to verse 15. It says, and the Lord said unto me, the backsliding Israel had justified herself more than treacherous Judah. Verse 12, go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, thou backsliding Israel, saith the Lord, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you. For I am merciful, saith the Lord, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against the Lord thy power, Yahweh. And see, our people still unto this day have not acknowledged, you know, the majority of the house of Israel have not acknowledged their iniquity, have not acknowledged their transgressions. They're not seeking repentance. They think that they're because they are Christians, because they're Roman Catholics, because they call upon Jesus Christ and they go to church, right? That they're all good. They declare themselves as saved, right? They think they're doing what's in line with what Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua wants them to do, but it's actually to the contrary. It says that thou hast transgressed against the Lord thy power, Yahweh, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree, and ye have not obeyed my voice, saith the Lord. And how is the voice of the Lord being spoken out throughout the earth? Just like in times past, via the prophets. Verse 14, turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart. Those pastors are ultimately the voice, the mouthpiece of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. It says, I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And this is what the majority of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans have rejected. They've rejected knowledge and understanding. They've rejected this truth. Okay, and they took it a step further. They have mocked, scoffed, made fun of, done parody of the prophets, and as well of this wisdom, knowledge, and truth. And they hate and despise the prophets, right? Moreover, they really hate Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, B'Shem Rachahakudash. The honors to the head apostle, and that is a great millstone who rule well and teach well. To the next time, Shalom.